At 2:28 a.m. on April 14th, a major fire broke out at the BYD factory in Longping Road, Shenzhen. Multiple buildings were engulfed in flames, sending fire and thick smoke into the sky. The fire spread quickly, and the affected area was vast. The fire was so intense that it could be seen clearly from several kilometers away. There were consistent explosions heard from the scene, and nearby residents thought there was a war going on.
I thought they were setting off fireworks. I thought there was a war. Boom, boom. It sounded like missile explosions.
According to reports from Chinese media, the fire occurred at a multi-story parking garage near the factory, not at the production base for the widely discussed blade batteries. The garage was used for storing test vehicles and competitor vehicles, with more than 2,000 vehicles inside. Several netizens shared that the fire broke out near BYD's Pinghu base, causing nearby schools to suspend classes, and teachers and students were told to stay away. One netizen claimed the fire started in the testing garage, with reports suggesting the competitor cars that had been tested may have caught fire on their own. On social media, a well-known influencer pointed out that the fire occurred due to unsafe practices during the demolition of old equipment by an outsourced company. In the videos from the scene, multiple fire trucks could be seen parked on the nearby streets, but no action seemed to be taken. Perhaps, given the intensity of the fire, the firefighters could do little except wait for the blaze to burn itself out. Fire departments reported that by 8 a.m. on the 14th, the open flames had been mostly extinguished. No reports of casualties had been received at that time. By the time of the report, the fire had been burning for more than 5 hours. BYD responded on the 14th, stating, "Early this morning, a fire occurred at a multi-story garage at our Pinghu campus. The garage is used to park test and scrapped vehicles." Public information shows that BYD's Shenzhen Pinghu factory is not a single building, but a large industrial park that includes functions like R&D, manufacturing, and testing. It is also the global headquarters of BYD. On April 14th, the topic trended on social media. Netizens commented, "BYD really knows how to play with fire. When the losses can't be hidden anymore, they just set the place on fire?" The explosions at the scene sounded like a war, and the residents were scared out of their wits. Every time performance is under pressure, there's a construction accident. How many times has this happened? It's intentional, burning the evidence and losses, and the insurance company foots the bill while the company continues to boast. BYD has not been a stranger to factory fires. Just 4 days earlier, on April 9th, at around noon, a fire broke out at the BYD Shaoxing base. The fire was intense, accompanied by thick smoke. Since the fire started at a battery factory, it attracted widespread attention. The exact location of the fire was BYD's battery production base at the intersection of Pudong 5th Road and Punan 3rd Road, to the south of Shaoxing City. This facility, owned by BYD's FD Battery, mainly produces blade batteries for the DMI model. According to official reports, the open flames were extinguished by 2 p.m. on April 9th, and no casualties were reported. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. In addition to factory fires, BYD's electric vehicles have frequently caught fire, raising serious public doubts about the reliability of the brand's power systems. The company has even earned the nickname Self-Ignition King. On March 16th, a cargo truck carrying dozens of cars caught fire on the Daguang Highway in Hebei province. The vehicles on board were quickly engulfed in flames, and only the skeletons were left. According to an eyewitness, at 10:33 a.m. that day, a car transport vehicle caught fire near the Suning service area. The netizen and his son were driving to Baoding and happened to pass by the accident site. As they tried to speed past, an explosion was heard, followed by a fireball that spread. The side of their own car became hot, and they were so scared they screamed. The video showed that the fire was intense, with all the cars on the truck burning fiercely, and black smoke filling the sky. After firefighters extinguished the flames, the truck and the cars it carried were left charred, and only the frames remained. According to netizens, only the last 3 cars at the back were not burned. Witnesses called out, "This is bigger than a nuclear bomb smoke." Other netizens remarked, "It felt like we were at a battlefield in Iran." In official media reports, keywords like BYD and electric vehicles were avoided, and the incident simply described as under investigation. On the night of April 12, 2025, a commercial street in Rongxian, Guangxi, suddenly caught fire. Video circulating online showed the sky ablaze, with the fire spreading across half the street. Subsequent footage showed a large number of buried electric bikes on the street, with remnants scattered all over the ground. Several buildings along the street were severely damaged, with some almost completely burned down, leaving only the frames. A whistleblower claimed that on the day of the incident, a BYD Seagull parked nearby had a charging station installed. It was charging at night when an explosion occurred. The family was awakened by the blast and saw thick smoke coming from the neighbor's property. In just 10 minutes, the fire had burned the building down. The family had to climb out of the second-story emergency window and recorded a video of the fire. The incident left the family of 5 homeless, with all their valuables destroyed. The whistleblower added that the exploded car was left with just a frame and charging cable that wasn't unplugged. On April 15, 2025, some Chinese media outlets reported the incident, but local authorities claimed the fire was unrelated to EVs. Local firefighters responded that the cause of the fire was inconvenient to disclose. Nearby shop owners directly told reporters, "We can't answer," suggesting that authorities had issued a gag order. On May 16, 2024, a fire broke out at the BYD Qingkou 4S store in Fuzhou, Fujian. The fire spread rapidly, accompanied by loud explosions, car alarms, and a series of blasts. 7 display cars were completely destroyed, and the entire first-floor exhibition hall was burned to its flame. Fortunately, the fire occurred late at night, preventing any casualties. Firefighters informed the media that the burning material was the electric vehicles in the exhibition hall. Some netizens commented that this fire fully exposed the safety risks of China's electric vehicles, directly undermining CCP leader Xi Jinping's strong advocacy and support for the new productive forces. On the evening of October 28, 2024, a sudden fire broke out at the BYD New Energy factory in Guangzhou, with at least 6 fire trucks responding. The cause of the fire and the extent of the damage remained unclear. On the morning of August 6, 2024, a fire broke out at a BYD warehouse in the Fangdong New City area of Xi'an, Shanxi. Fortunately, no casualties were reported. On August 2, 2024, several BYD electric vehicles caught fire during transport in Jining, Shandong. More than 10 cars were engulfed in flames and were burned down to their frames. On June 1, 2023, a fire broke out at a BYD factory in Xi'an, Shanxi. The fire was extremely intense, with smoke billowing from the factory, obscuring the sky and creating a stark contrast with the surrounding environment. The Chinese government is heavily promoting what it calls new productive forces, with companies like BYD being key targets of official protection. However, incidents involving domestic EV brands like Huawei, BYD, and Xiaomi have been frequent, with many reports being suppressed through collusion between government and business. As for the frequent fires in China's EVs, experts point to the collusion between government and businesses, which overlooks product safety. Professor Xie Tian from the University of South Carolina's Business School stated that the Chinese government may be concerned that the U.S. will eventually sanction chips used in vehicles. To sustain EV production, they resort to using self-developed chips, which are of lower quality and can only meet consumer-level standards, posing safety risks. Xie Tian further noted that major Chinese car manufacturers and large capital investments are deeply intertwined with high-level government officials. He says they can work their connections to ensure that their actions go smoothly. As for public safety or product reliability, these are often ignored. The Chinese EV industry has rapidly expanded under years of government subsidies and policy support. However, the latest financial reports reveal that the industry is now in a sharp reversal, facing overcapacity, weakened demand, and worsening price wars. BYD's sales have plummeted, with a large number of unsold cars piling up in inventory.
比亚迪销售总说没有现车，提车要等至少3个月。我就在烂尾楼里发现大量比亚迪库存。
BYD's sales manager claims there are no available cars, and customers have to wait at least 3 months to receive their vehicles. However, I discovered a large number of BYD cars stored in an unfinished building. This building has been abandoned for over 2 years and is now being used as a warehouse for a nearby 4S dealership. Inside, there are so many new BYD cars, some of which have gathered a thick layer of dust from sitting for so long. Let's take a look at the main models. There aren't many cars on the first floor, but to my surprise, there's a hidden BYD Tong DMP. Let's head upstairs. Upstairs is where the bulk of the cars are stored. The first thing that catches your eye is a large number of BYD Qin DVs. This model is mainly aimed at the ride-hailing market, with very few being purchased for personal use. The most abundant models are the Qin Plus and the Song Plus. With so many available, it seems BYD's production capacity is mostly focused on these two models. There are also plenty of Dolphin models in stock, including many in the cheese yellow color. Most of these cars are covered in thick dust, indicating they've been here for a while. In 2025, the domestic automobile market in China saw extreme price competition, with mainstream models generally dropping in price by 30 to 50,000 yuan. Some brands even launched half-price models to clear inventory, resulting in an unprecedented level of market saturation. Amid this development, the gross margin for car dealerships' base sales dropped by 21.5%, meaning selling cars meant incurring losses. The overall Chinese EV market remains fiercely competitive, with major automakers using frequent promotions and price cuts to capture market share. This intense competition has severely squeezed profit margins. In March, BYD disclosed that its net profit for 2025 would drop by 19% year-on-year. Not only did its profit fall to 32.6 billion yuan, marking the first decline in 4 years, but its revenue growth was only 3.5%, the slowest performance in nearly 6 years. As 2026 began, BYD sales were even more disappointing. Recent data show that BYD's EV passenger cars in February dropped by 41.1% year-on-year, with monthly sales falling to just over 190,000 units. This marks the first time in recent years that monthly sales have dipped below the 200,000 unit mark. The cumulative sales for January and February were 400,000 units, a 35.8% drop year-on-year, marking the largest decline since 2022. It's worth noting that this marks the 7th consecutive month of year-on-year sales decline for BYD, highlighting the company's struggles after years of rapid growth. Industry analysts believe that the domestic market was affected by the post-Spring Festival consumption slump, adjustments in the vehicle purchase tax policy, and increased market competition. Additionally, the revised subsidy policies for 2025 and the 5% vehicle purchase for EV buyers have impacted economy car brands. BYD's mid- and low-end models, the Dynasty and Ocean series, account for about 90% of BYD's total sales. This sends a clear message to the market and investors. The development logic of the EV industry is undergoing a fundamental shift. Even BYD is struggling to cope with profit pressures, highlighting the fact that the era of easily profiting from industry dividends is now firmly in the past. According to analysis from U.S. market service provider TipRanks, BYD is facing multiple pressures, including fierce competition in China's EV market, the impact of price wars on profit margins, reduced policy support, and macroeconomic uncertainty. Currently, BYD is finding it difficult to maintain the rapid growth it once had in the domestic Chinese market. Exporting its cars at lower prices has become its next strategic focus, but the overseas market presents even more challenges. In Thailand, the bridgehead for Chinese car manufacturers entering the Southeast Asian market, a cold snap has emerged. Recently, official data from Thailand for February shows a sharp drop in sales. After overtaking Japanese brands in January to become the largest market player in Thailand, Chinese brands saw a dramatic fall in February, with their market share dropping to just 11.6%. Low-price competition and price wars have long been associated with Chinese brands. In the Thai market, BYD implemented successive price cuts in 2024, leading to growing dissatisfaction among customers, with some even filing complaints. In March 2024, BYD announced significant price reductions, and by July, its Auto 3 model was discounted by as much as 340,000 baht. In fact, this is not just happening in Thailand. In Germany, Chinese car companies have also faced challenges due to the reduction of subsidies. Germany ended private car purchase subsidies of 4,500 euros in December 2023. By 2024, Chinese brands saw a decline in sales in Germany. Among the large-scale Chinese automakers, only MG, which has been established in the European market for many years, performed relatively well, with a slight year-on-year decline of 1.2%. In contrast, Great Wall Motors saw a 35.6% drop in sales, and BYD sales dropped by 30.2%. From Germany to Thailand, a series of cases clearly shows that the competitive advantages previously built by Chinese automakers, based on subsidies, tax policy benefits, and price wars, quickly fade when policy support weakens or disappears. The growth logic of increasing sales through lower prices is gradually failing. The real challenges of Chinese automakers expanding overseas are just beginning. A well-known online influencer and commentator for Cold Eye Finance told the Epoch Times that China's EV industry has reached the limit of overexpansion. The production volume is too large, and the capacity is too great. The global market cannot absorb its dumping. Currently, the U.S. imposes a 100% tariff on Chinese-made electric vehicles, effectively blocking companies like BYD and Xiaomi from entering the U.S. market. However, China's low-cost, high-tech vehicles are rapidly capturing markets in other regions, including Mexico. There, BYD alone accounts for 70% of the country's EVs and plug-in hybrid vehicle sales. Additionally, Canada has recently reached an agreement with the Chinese government to import 49,000 vehicles annually from China. On April 13th, Ford CEO Jim Farley discussed the potential impact of Chinese car exports on U.S. manufacturing. He told Fox and Friends, "We should not let them into our country. Manufacturing is the heart and soul of our country, and for us to lose that to exports would be devastating for our country." Farley also warned that Chinese-made vehicles are equipped with many cameras and can collect a lot of data.